Hi everyone and welcome to Tips on Rearing Poultry. So in today's video, I'm going to discuss this topic that always lingers in people's mind, especially for those who are interested in starting a poultry business project on which is more profitable, whether the broilers or the layers. So it has always been a debate among farmers as well as those who are interested in starting a poultry business on which is more profitable, whether the broilers or the layers. So in this video, we will look at what broilers and layers are, together with their pros and cons. We will also make comparisons between broilers and layers so that we can come to a conclusion on which is more profitable. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. So broilers are chickens specifically raised for meat and are usually raised for a period of 4 weeks to 6 weeks and then slaughtered. Though they can still be raised for over 6 weeks for the slow-growing breeds, and due to their high rate of growth, broilers can easily reach their target weight for slaughter within 4 weeks for the fast-growing breeds, and this will always depend on the quality of feed you provide your broilers. Now, from the experience I've had rearing broilers, they are very easy to care for and raise within a short period of time. I keep them, and that is 6 weeks maximum. So the ease will always come in when you buy your chicks from a reputable hatchery with good quality broiler breeds. So it's always important you take the quality of these broiler chicks very serious, otherwise it will cost you a lot of money. Now the next thing to look out for is the quality of feeds you feed your chicks, especially for the first 2 weeks of their growth. The quality of the feeds is as important as the quality of the broiler breed, which should always be of good quality. When these birds, the broilers, are fed low-quality feeds, they do not grow that fast and will keep on consuming the feeds you give them, but never grow as fast as those fed with high-quality feeds, meaning the longer you will keep them, and more money will be spent on them for feeding. When it comes to caring for them, it is easy as long as all the necessities are available, such as the good quality feeds, clean water, a dry bedding, space, source of heat, for warmth and the security, and the supplements like vitamins. So let us look at some of the pros, which are the advantages of keeping broilers. So broilers grow faster, hence they can be sold after a month. They have a high demand, hence the market is always available. The broiler birds are easy to look after, provided all the basic needs are available. And finally, they are very cheap when purchasing the chicks. Some of the cons of keeping broilers are, they are very sensitive to the type of feeds you feed them. For instance, if the feed is of low quality, they won't grow that fast. They are very cheap when selling them off, hence little or no profit can be seen on a small scale. They consume a lot of feeds and drink a lot of water, causing the bedding to be wet with their droppings. And finally, they make the bedding very wet, bringing bad smell and flies. Layers are a type of poultry that are raised majorly for egg purposes and later on sold off for meat when they stop laying eggs. Their genes make them lay eggs often and are usually kept between 3 to 4 years till slaughter. When it comes to selecting the best breed, it's always advisable to make a good research on hatcheries that produce good quality breeds and whether they are consistent in their supply. So when it comes to layers, looking after them is a bit tricky because their environment always affects their egg production as well as the type of feeds you feed them. Now what I know about layers is that they are a bit complicated to look after because first of all, your top priority should be a good quality breed and feeds. With all that in check, layers at the beginning require to be vaccinated, and if not well vaccinated, they can easily die off. Because of their delicate health, layers are prone to diseases, making them extra delicate, meaning the biosecurity in the farm should be tight. The environment should be as quiet as possible because layer chickens do not perform well in noisy places. So now let's look at some of the pros of rearing layers. So the first thing they always do is lay eggs. The second thing is they can be sold when they stop laying eggs, and that is extra income. They consume less feeds compared to broilers. So some of the cons of rearing layers are: they are expensive when purchasing at the beginning, especially when purchasing them when they are a bit older at the point of starting to lay eggs. The second disadvantage of rearing layers is they are really prone to diseases. The last disadvantage is that they are a bit tricky to look after when they are still chicks. So after knowing what broilers and layers are, together with their pros and cons, I will use a table showing a comparison between broilers and layers as an illustration to help us come up with a conclusion on whether layers or broilers, which is more profitable. So now this is a table I've already drawn, and the right side is for the layers and the left side is for the broilers. So the box or the space without a division here is where I'll be typing what to use to differentiate them. And I'll start with eggs or meat. Now on the side of broilers, there is only meat because broilers are reared purposefully for meat. And on this side for the layers, we get both meat and eggs because after a period of time, when they stop laying, they are slaughtered for meat. So now, in my country, Uganda, a tray of brown eggs ranges between 11,000, which is equivalent to $3 to 13,000, equivalent to $3.06, and the white eggs, a tray ranges between 11,000 to 18,000. And all these prices are equally the same as a broiler when it reaches its selling point. The next thing I'll use to differentiate is weight. So the broilers gain more weight compared to layers, of which layers shouldn't gain a lot of weight. The next thing I'll use to differentiate these two birds are the feeds. So the broilers' feeds are so costly compared to those of the layers. Feeding broilers is more costly than layers since more energy and protein are needed for broilers to gain that weight faster than it is required for the layers. So the more the amount of protein content in poultry feed, the costly the feeds are. Moving on to the next thing to differentiate these birds are the diseases. So broilers are less prone to diseases when fully and properly vaccinated compared to layers that are really prone to diseases. So layers are prone to diseases compared to broilers because they are kept for a longer period of time compared to broilers that are kept for a shorter period of time and then sold off, and they do not stay long to get exposed to chicken diseases. The next thing to look at is startup. So it's easy to start up a broiler poultry farm compared to that of layers because layers are complex and costly at the beginning. Now starting up a broiler poultry farm is easier because the initial cost of starting a broiler poultry farm is cheaper and the skills and knowledge needed are minimal compared to the layers that are complex to start up, and the knowledge needed may require to get someone who is an expert to help you. The next thing to look at are the earnings. With broiler farming, you can start earning within a few weeks compared to layers that need a minimum of 5 months to start earning through selling the eggs. The next thing we shall use to differentiate are the losses. So with broilers, losses can be recovered, and for the layers, losses are hard to recover. This is so because losses in broilers are minimal compared to layers, and because of that, with broilers you can easily start again, while with layers, it takes longer, like a year, to recover. After looking at the losses, let's look at the profits. So with broilers, there is little or no profit at a small scale, while in layers, little profits can be got while at a small scale. Now, there are little profits or no profits with broilers at a small scale level because broilers consume a lot of feeds, and their feeds are too expensive compared to layers whose profits are visible in a long run, even though while at a small scale. Because layers' feeds are not that expensive like the broilers, secondly, the eggs that the broilers lay can be sold off and the money can be used to buy their feeds and the rest kept for yourself. The thing to look at is marketing. So the demand will always depend on your location, making marketing a bit hard. Now, marketing the broilers and the eggs from the layers is important. To sell off your products at the right time, you should also find out how much they are bought and where to find your target market. Now, where I live, The broilers are always on high demand compared to the eggs from the layers, since most people sell eggs. The next thing we shall use to differentiate these birds are the startup cost. So the broilers are cheap to start up and the layers are expensive. So when it comes to broilers, the startup cost is cheaper compared to the layers. For instance, layers need a house that is warm, light, clean food, clean water, high biosecurity, vaccines, and vitamins, debaking also, which is an extra cost, and also battery cages in case you go for that. Plus the extra cost of feeding them for the 4 months without laying eggs. Whereas the broilers, you just need a clean house, spacing, clean food, water, and warmth for them to grow, which is something a bit cheaper for the broilers. So the next thing we are going to use to differentiate these birds are immunization or treatment of diseases. So with the broilers, it's easy to manage the diseases and immunization compared with the layers that are hard to manage. Now with the broilers, it's easy to control disease outbreaks since the broilers are kept for a short period of time. Those are the 6 weeks. A disease outbreak can occur and a few birds may die, and with a short period of time, you rear another set of broiler birds. Whereas for the layers, it is difficult to manage disease outbreaks because your birds are kept for a longer period of time and you cannot start another set of layers again, and you have to wait longer to recover from the losses. The money spent on treating these chickens is more with layers compared to the broilers because layers are kept for a longer period and it costs buying vaccines, drugs, and debaking, which all affect egg production. The next thing we shall use to differentiate these birds are the level of skills to start. So it's easy with the broilers to start and it needs less skills, whereas for the layers, it's not easy and it needs a lot of knowledge. So starting up a broiler poultry farm with little skills is easy and possible, and you can become a professional after a few sets of chickens. This is because broilers need fewer vaccines since they do not stay for a long period of time compared to the layers. But with layers, you will need professionals for knowledge before you start. The last thing we are going to use to differentiate these birds is the long-term revenue. So now with layers, more revenue can be got than broilers at a large scale because when they stop laying, they can still be sold off for meat. So when these layers grow old, whereby the rate of feed consumption is higher than that of laying eggs, then you can sell off the old birds and bring in the new batch. With broilers, more revenue can only be generated when there is a high demand for them, and the price you sell your birds will always depend on the weight of your broiler birds. So if you are selling your broilers on their 6th week, the price you sell them won't be the same price as those kept longer, like at the 12th week, because they would have gained more weight and you can sell them off at a much higher price. Though that means spending more money on feeding those you will keep at a longer period of time till the 12th week. And remember that broilers' feed intake increases as they grow, plus not forgetting how expensive their feeds are. So after looking at all these differences, you can weigh and see which will be more profitable. So for those who want to see profits within a short period of time, you can go for the broilers, though it's more profitable at a big scale. And for those who are patient enough, can decide to go for the layers because the profit can be seen in the long run when your birds start laying eggs, both on small and large scale. Or you can decide to go for both because both projects are profitable at the end of the day. Because the profits will always depend on the number of birds you keep. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel and see you on the next video.